Hey, everybody. So, first of all, we had a baby girl. Her name is Zuri. She is perfectly healthy. And for those that know, and many of you do, I was allowed into the hospital to take care of her and my wife, and it all went perfectly. I'm tired as fuck. I've been operating on about 3 hours of sleep the last 3 nights, so I'm going to try to get through this video as coherently as I can. My brain is operating at about 40% capacity, but we'll see how we do. So I really was inspired to come on here. I'm mostly inspired to sleep, but secondly, I'm inspired to come on here and talk about needs. Needs are something that are really at the forefront of my mind with a baby. And I have lived most of my life not really understanding needs and kind of dismissing other people's needs, not really understanding them most of my life and half of my marriage until I had my son. That's when I finally really understood. I understood needs. It didn't really make sense to me before. And having my daughter really brought this back up again, right? Because when you have a baby, they have needs. And they communicate those needs by crying. That's pretty much the only way that they communicate their needs. And, the crying is annoying as hell, but a parent is so compelled to want to make the crying go away, first because it's annoying, but also, of course, because you don't want your child to suffer, right? You want your child to be happy, and any parent who knows that, who has compassion for their baby, loves their baby, doesn't want them to suffer in any way, of course, right? Nature is a beautiful thing now, way to keep our genes alive. And what's fascinating, right, with babies, and this is true for boys and girls. I'm going to focus on girls just because it's my daughter, but it's the same. With a baby, it has no problem expressing its needs, right, in its very primitive way, just by crying. It's all it knows how to do, and there's no inhibitions. There's no thoughts of what if what if I get judged, what if I express my needs and I'm abandoned, what if my parent doesn't care about me, right? None of that stuff goes through a baby's mind. It's too primitive to have those kind of thoughts. And it hasn't yet been programmed by parents, by caregivers, to think those thoughts, right? To have them in the first place. Why would babies end up growing up into children and eventually adults with those thoughts, and with those inhibitions, right? And even to the point of suppressing those needs to the point where they don't realize all of the needs that they have. Well, it's because they've been programmed to believe, that their needs don't matter, and that if they express those needs, that they're not going to be met, right? That the person isn't going to care. And of course, this carries on into romantic relationships, right? It is very similar in the way that they grew up with their caregivers. And it just really got, I've been thinking about this forever, but it really brought it back up again. Is that with my daughter, that's never going to happen, right? I'm never going to have a daughter that is going to inhibit her needs, that's going to inhibit her desires, that's going to hold them back, because I'm going to lead her. Well, first of all, I'm going to do my best, and my wife is going to do her best to meet all of her needs and not shame any of her needs, not make any of her needs wrong, not shut her down, not shut her feelings down. But then second of all, I'm going to lead her to express all of her needs using feminine communication, right? Because that's would be the natural transition. It's actually, I'm not exactly. It's probably like the going from crying, and then there's the toddler stage where they're going through their stages of solid, like making these boundaries and stuff. But ultimately, where we're going is feminine communication, right? I want to have a daughter who can communicate all of her needs, all of her desires, all of her feelings openly, without any shame, without feeling like this is wrong in any way, and feeling ultimately like, of course she should express all of her needs and desires and feelings. Why the hell would she hold them back? And of course she's worthy to have all of those needs met and feelings considered, and not all of her desires met, of course, because some desires are not going to be healthy and whatever else, but the ones that we can meet, that make sense to meet those as well, and they're all going to be expressed with feminine communication. And so unfortunately for most children, right, who are now adults, they didn't have that luxury, right? They didn't have parents that are relatively emotionally healthy and are polarized and know how to hold space for all of a child's needs and to encourage them to express everything, because they didn't have, parents didn't have their own emotional regulation. They didn't have the leadership skills. They didn't have whatever it was. And it's not necessarily that they're bad people. It's just they didn't know any better, right? People don't know any better because their needs weren't met in childhood. And it's just a vicious cycle until we can break it. And that's really what this, academy work, like the work I do with my clients, men and women clients, has really solidified for me since I started doing this, right? Just working with so many wonderful women, men as well, right? Because they've got their own stuff with communicating needs in a masculine way, where their needs just weren't met. Their feelings weren't considered. They were taught in one way or another that they didn't matter, right? And so now they're living out their lives in dysfunctional, unhealthy relationships, or no relationships at all. Well, that's all being fixed now in the academy. But like so much suffering that doesn't need to happen. And the first step to really shifting this in yourself, right? For yourself, for your own needs, also as a parent, also as a partner, right? All of this is to really learn to own your own needs and accept them, right? To see them all as okay, and your feelings all as okay, right? That they're all valid. Like with my daughter, the way newborns are, there's just sometimes it's really simple, and just hungry, shit in their diaper, just needs comfort, whatever, and they stop crying, and it's really simple. And sometimes, like we've experienced the last few days, it's a little bit more complicated, right? Where their cries, their needs are not as easy to understand, which we're really figuring out. But it to an adult, right? To us, it often doesn't seem logical, right? And that carries on with toddlers as well, and young children. It's like, it doesn't seem logical. Like what's going on with you? Why the hell are you so emotional? Whatever. And you know, like I've seen that with my wife as well, right? Like, and as well as all my Women Academy students too, or many of them, right? Things that we'll say set them off, right? That really trigger them. They have needs that go unmet, that to me, right, through my perspective, my needs don't seem like a big deal at all. But here's the thing, it doesn't fucking matter what I think. This is really important. It doesn't matter, because it's their needs, right? It's not my needs, and their needs matter. And even if I don't fully understand somebody else's needs, even if I don't fully understand my daughter's needs, even if I don't, I mean, I have a pretty good understanding of everybody's needs, but, you know, I still don't, you know, there's some things that's just harder to fully grasp, we'll say. But yeah, so understanding my daughter's needs, not fully understanding my wife's needs or clients' needs. And of course I can ask questions to better understand. But that's really the mindset that you need to have to, and to own your own needs, first of all, like whatever they are. Like, it doesn't matter if they seem illogical, doesn't matter if they seem needy and pathetic and whatever else. They're your needs and they're your feelings, and it's okay, right? It's okay to have them. And it's, when you have a partner, right, to really understand their needs as well, and to accept those needs, right, and to understand where they're coming from. That makes all of this so much easier, because polarity is all about needs, except it's getting to the real deep needs that we're talking about, the real deep instinctual needs. And sometimes, a lot of the time, right, men and women are so out of touch with their needs, right, because they have all this intellectual bullshit programming, right? Like a man who's been programmed to believe that, you know, like it's okay for a woman to judge him, right? And like he just needs to get over that. No, that's a need that he has to be respected as a man, and that's okay, that need's there, that irritation is pointing towards something. And same for a woman, right? Like a woman who gets, say, so emotional because a man breaks his word and it's over something really small, but to her it's like brings up all these feelings of lack of safety and everything. And she's like, oh, like I shouldn't feel this way. Or the man tells her that, right? Like, you shouldn't feel this way. Like, you're too emotional. No, you know, maybe she could communicate those needs in a healthier way, but those feelings are perfectly valid, and those needs are perfectly valid, and that's okay. And that's what, you know, more than anything, that's what I want to bring to the world and bring to everybody, is to really embrace their needs and to feel them fully, and to know, and to know how to, and to competently be able to express them, to communicate them, so that their partner will want to meet them, right? If you're a woman, right, so the man is inspired to meet them. And if you're a man, so that your woman will meet them by submitting to your leadership, right? It's beautiful. It's beautiful the way that works, so that we can create healthy relationships, healthy partnerships, and raise healthy children, so that we can break this cycle, right? So that people can meet each other's needs, meet their children's needs. And so I really want to reach out, like call out to anybody who really wants to master this work, who really wants to transform themselves, to fully get in touch with their needs, learn how to communicate all of their needs, so that so if they have a partner, they'll want to meet them, and if not, that they'll be able to easily attract a partner to want to meet those needs, because all of your needs can be met, right? That's something that is real. It's fully realistic. It can happen. I really want those people to reach out to me. If that's where you're at and you're like, I want to do this work, I want to be able to make all of these shifts so that I can be a feminine, vulnerable feminine woman, or a dominant, you know, masculine man who can lead, who can communicate all of their needs effectively, and get exactly what they want and get exactly what they need. You don't have to keep suffering and trying to figure this all out by yourself, and dealing with these rejections and judgments and making massive amounts of mistake through trial and error. That's like ridiculously difficult, and for many people, absolutely impossible, right? Doing this on your own is so challenging because you're dealing with all of the bullshit that you've been programmed with since childhood, right? All of the lessons that you've been taught about your needs not mattering. It's not something that you can shift really quickly on your own, because your own programming is going to keep you reverting into your old programming, essentially, to keep you safe, to keep you stuck exactly where you are. And if you know that, then you know that you need devoted support to help you shift out of this. This is something that you can shift really, really quickly. It's scary. It's still going to be scary as hell, but it's a lot less scary when you have someone who knows what they're doing, hold your hand every step of the way to move you through this, right? To help you break those patterns, to give you the communication skills that you need to shift out of this and experience something so much better, right? Where all of your needs are met, where you can have a healthy relationship, where you can have a dream relationship, where you can raise unbelievably healthy children and not, program. Obviously, no parent wants to do this, but so much of your own programming is going to be put on them, whether you want it or not. It's because you're operating at that level. It doesn't have to be that way. You can fully break it for them, but you need to make that choice. You need to make that choice to shift, to move into that fear. Step into that fear and change, transform. That first step starts with reaching out to me, sending me a private message on Facebook, and letting me know that you want support. Tell me what your biggest problem is in your love life, whatever you think it is, and let's go from there. Send me a private message and let's talk.